Hi, welcome to Danny After Dark. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a notification or a new episode. Tonight, I'll be featuring the case of the murder of child actress Judith Barsi. This was a case recommendation by my husband, so thank you, hubby, for the suggestion. Now, let's go ahead and find out more. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Judith Eva Barsi was born on June 6, 1978. She was the daughter of Joseph Epstein Barsi and Maria Barsi. They were both immigrants to the United States who fled the Hungarian People's Republic following the 1956 uprising. The family lived in Los Angeles, California. Maria began to prepare her daughter Judith to become an actress. She was just 5 years old. Judith's first role was in the miniseries Fatal Vision. She played the role of Kimberly McDonald. Judith went on to appear in more than 70 commercials and guest roles on television. She even broke out into film and appeared in several well-known films. You may know her from Jaws: The Revenge, and most notably, she provided the voice of Ducky in The Land Before Time and the voice of Anne Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven. By the time Judith was 7 years old, she was earning approximately $100,000 a year for her acting. This allowed the family to buy a 3-bedroom home in West Hills, Los Angeles, California. Now, Judith was being casted mostly in roles that were younger than her actual age. This was because she was incredibly short for her age. In fact, she was only 3 feet 8 inches by the time she was 10 years old. As a result of this, she began to receive hormone injections at UCLA to encourage her growth. Now, beginning 1985, Joseph would often be home drunk instead of working. He was a plumber, and he refused to let his wife Maria work. As a result, the family briefly went on welfare until Judith's career took off in around 1986, 1987. As Judith's career started to take off, Joseph's alcoholism became worse, and he became increasingly more angry. He would frequently threaten to kill his wife, threaten to kill his daughter, and threaten to kill himself. He was arrested 3 times for drunk driving. December 1986, Maria reported his threats and his physical violence towards her to the police. Specifically in this incident, he threatened to kill her, he choked her, and he hit her in the face. The police, however, found no physical signs of abuse, so Maria decided not to press charges against Joseph. After this incident, Joseph reportedly stopped drinking. However, he continued to be angry, continued to threaten Maria and Judith. His specific threats included cutting their throats as well as burning down the family home. On one instance, he reportedly hid a message that had arrived informing Maria that a relative in Hungary had died. He did this to prevent her from leaving the United States and possibly taking Judith with her. Now, young Judith confided in a friend that her father threw pots and pans at her, and this would give her nosebleeds. To cope with this abuse, Judith physically began to gain weight, and she also developed compulsive behaviors, including plucking out her own eyelashes. May 1988, Judith had a mental breakdown in front of her agent, Ruth Hansen. As a result, Judith was taken by her mother to a child psychologist. The psychologist identified severe physical and emotional abuse and went on to report these findings to Child Protective Services. Maria, however, assured the caseworker that she intended to begin divorce proceedings against Joseph. And she reportedly told her that she found an apartment in Panorama City that she was going to rent, and she would move in and take Judith with her. Upon hearing this, Child Protective Services decided to drop the case. Now, Maria, well, she began to hesitate. She didn't want to follow through with her plan. Her friends urged her to follow through, but Maria began to fear losing the family home and losing her belongings. Now, Judith and her mother Maria were about to leave the United States to go to the Bahamas. Judith got a role in the film Jaws: The Revenge and needed to go for 2 months to film for this. Before they left, Judith's father threatened her with a knife. He said, quote, "If you decide not to come back, I will cut your throat," end quote. Judith's agent said she witnessed Judith's dad telling her, quote, "Remember what I told you before you leave," end quote. Judith then became visibly terrified and started crying. Now, they went to the Bahamas and they filmed for 2 months. When Judith and Maria returned, the abuse continued. Now, friends of Judith said she had complained to them about her home life. What she told them was, quote, "I'm afraid to go home. My daddy is miserable. My daddy is drunk every day, and I know he wants to kill my mother," end quote. A neighbor of the Barsis told the LA Times that Joseph, quote, "told me 500 times he was going to kill his wife. I tried to calm him down. I'd tell him, if you kill her, what will happen to your little one?" End quote. July 25th, 1988. Judith had an audition for a role with Hanna-Barbera, but she never showed for the audition. This was very out of character for her. 3 days later, July 28th, 1988, the police were called to a home when a neighbor reported hearing a gunshot and the house started to go up in flames. Once rescue services arrived at the scene, they found 3 people dead in the home. It became clear that was a double murder-suicide. Investigators determined the order of events. The male shot and killed his wife in the hallway, shot and killed his daughter in her bed, and then doused both of their bodies with gasoline and set them on fire. He then went into the garage and shot himself in the head with a .32 caliber pistol. Investigators identified all 3 of those bodies as belonging to Joseph Barsi, Maria Barsi, and Judith Barsi. Judith Barsi was only 10 years old when she was murdered. Judith was described by so many in such kind-spirited words. For example, quote, "She was very successful with every door open to her. There's no telling how far she would have gone," end quote. Judith's agent, Ruth Hansen, described her as, quote, "a bubbly, happy little girl," end quote. In an interview with Don Bluth, the director of both The Land Before Time in All Dogs Go to Heaven, he praised Judith as being, quote, absolutely astonishing. She understood verbal direction even for the most sophisticated situations, end quote. Judith's final role was giving her voice to the little dinosaur ducky in The Land Before Time. This was sadly released after she had died. Judith and her mother Maria are buried together in Forest Lawn Memorial Park, which is located in Hollywood Hills. On Judith's gravestone, it reads, quote, in memory of the lovely Judith Eva Barsi, 1978 to 1988, our concrete angel. In addition, on her gravestone, it has the famous quote, yep, yep, yep. That was the line in The Land Before Time. It is forever on her gravestone. And that is the case of the murder of child actress Judith Barsi. Thank you for sticking around for another episode of Danny After Dark. Do you have any questions or comments on the case? I'll leave it down below. Let's be interactive. Do you have a suggestion for a case that you'd like me to cover? We'll leave it down below, and you may see it featured in an upcoming episode. Until next time, remember, we don't live in darkness. Darkness lives in us.